Hey guys, it's Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Star Trek Picard. Last time on Picard, we had the Impossible Box. What all happened in that one?
Well, Narek, Soji's boyfriend, whatever you want to call him, finally got her to admit that she doesn't know that she admitted it, but she admitted to knowing where she came from or where the others are, whatever that was.
Yeah.
But in doing so, in trying to then kill her, he activated her positronic brain and she made her way out of the chamber where she had been trapped. And then she and Picard escaped through some kind of Borg Queen portal, and they're supposed to meet with Raffi and Rios and Dr. Girardi on a place called Nepenthe. And we don't know exactly what happened to Elnor. The last thing we saw, the doors closed, and we heard his voice say something to the effect of, dear friends, please choose life. So
Yeah.
we shall see.
Yeah. I would imagine he's alright. He's pretty skilled, so... that was pretty much it. We finally got Picard and Soji together, and Soji became... I don't want to say she became relevant, but something happened with her finally.
Yeah. And she doesn't know. She began to suspect during the episode that there was something wrong when she found out that literally everything she owned was only slightly or more than 3 years old. So she's beginning to put it together, I think. Yeah,
she didn't have the full truth, but I would imagine in this episode Picard will tell her. So, that is pretty much that. Well, I'm not going to forget to say this, like I did last time, how you can watch our reaction to this, because due to some copyright garbage, let's be frank, some copyright garbage, we cannot host the reaction video in this particular video. So what you gotta do is head down in the description or to the pinned comment on this video, and there'll be a link there, and that will take you to our reaction where, it's got all the footage, it's all nice and good, it's edited, it's, about 10 minutes-ish, and and you can hopefully have a good time watching it. Alternatively, if you would like maybe a bit more of us watching Star Trek Picard, the full length is available on my Patreon, which is also down in the description. But that does cost. You'd have to become a patron for that one, which it would only be $5 a month to watch that. But yeah, that is pretty much that.
I will put in a shameless plug here. I really suggest that people become members of Patreon. After all, this is Alex's full-time job now. He's finished with college and kind of looking to make this his future for the at least foreseeable few months, years, whatever. So
it's at least been working out through the virus.
Yes.
So because I just work here. Nothing in my life has changed. So yeah.
And it's a bargain, $5 a month. You get to watch all sorts of really good stuff.
Yeah, because I'm doing a lot of shows. Probably more than I should be doing as a one-man crew. But, oh well. But yeah, and that is okay for you to do a shameless plug, I feel like. See, if I do that, then that's just me, I'm just trying to plug my stuff. If you do it, it's okay because you're my dad, so it works out. Anywho, we should probably go ahead and get into this episode of Star Trek Picard.
Make it so.
All right.
Once again, we didn't do much talking.
Yeah.
But this is an episode that, obviously it's necessary. It's, all the old touchy-feely stuff.
Well.
But it also advances the plot because she has just found out she's an android, and literally every person who's ever dealt with her has lied to her, and she has to overcome that to see if she can trust Picard.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and pop into the notes. All right. The first thing I wrote down was Dr. Girardi. So was that their plan or was that not their plan? Is my question.
Okay. Well, yes, they wanted her to be part of this so that they could track her. And I can't remember if the woman who talked to her and gave her the tracker device was the one who had talked to the Romulan woman earlier on.
Well, yeah. I mean, Rios and Rafi. Was that their plan, that she would end up in a coma? Like, were they trying to get the tracker out of her?
I don't know. Yeah, that's hard to say, because she did seem to, put herself into a coma.
Yeah. Like I understand, because it seemed like, okay, she threw up after eating the cake that Rafi specifically made. So, okay, maybe Rafi's trying to get the tracker out that way. Or then with Rios, when they were talking, it's like, oh, I think it might be Rafi. And it kind of seems like they're trying to get her to own up to it, so that then, if she can own up to it, then she could, be a part of the group. They won't have to throw her in the brig. But then, when she seems to get the tracker out, it throws her into a coma.
I don't know if she was trying to get the tracker out, or if she was deliberately trying to put herself into a coma so that she couldn't be tracked.
It could be that, I suppose. Yeah. I don't know. That was just my question. It's like, okay, it seems like this is all planned to stop the tracker and to get her maybe to own up to it. Yeah. But maybe and that last part wasn't the plan.
Because she said it wasn't Rafi. It's me.
That's true. Yeah. So it is also interesting just how immediately they catch on to her too. Just by, the two of them are that smart that they recognized that she was acting differently than when they started. So,
and the fact that Rafi and Rios have known each other for years, and she's the variable in that. So, yeah, right. I guess they did suspect her, but they couldn't. Like I say, he was trying to get her, emotionally worked up, so that he could pretend that maybe it was Rafi. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure it'll all be resolved. But it's one of those open-ended sort of things we're deliberately left not knowing who knows what and how and what they're going to do about it.
Right. And even if all of this was their plan, it might not have been the plan that she would fall into a coma.
Yeah.
So, well, at least the EMH worked this time. I still don't understand how she just turned off an EMH when someone was dying. That will always seem weird, but let's see. I wrote down Elnor and Hugh. So Hugh's dead. So, a few episodes ago when Icheb died, I was like, oh man, so if we go back to that episode in Voyager, it's going to be sad now. Now we got to do the same thing for Hugh and all the XBs. Like, oh, well, this sucks.
But there are other XBs on there, because Hugh said in order to activate the transporter, you'll have to have an XB. So maybe he's going to have the XBs rise up against the Romulans on the cube, because we're not sure if the Romulans are leaving the cube.
Yeah, it could also be that, because the handful that they had there that they ended up killing, it could be that those were all the XBs that were fully recovered. Yeah. Because we did see one or two of them last episode when Picard was shown the recovery ward. So it could just be that those were the ones that recovered.
Yeah.
And I suppose that might not include all the Romulan XBs that we saw. Like, those could be in a different wing. So, and maybe Romulans wouldn't want to kill other Romulans.
And maybe they're setting up the fact that the Borg cube will ultimately end up at wherever Soji's homeworld is, and there'll be a shootout between the Romulans and the ex-Borg, but in the Borg cube, so which may or may not still be activated.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Well, we did get the return of Riker and Troi in this episode, which, people have said that, this show is it's not supposed to be just a continuation of Next Gen or, a reunion or anything. But it is good that we got at least the two of them back.
Yeah.
And also because we've had several cameos by Data just because of the memories and stuff. So
Nepenthe, interesting thing there. They said, the soil regenerates people, or regenerates everything. So it makes you wonder, they brought their son there, but he died anyway because it was something that could have been done through a synth, but then, of course, synths were banned. So.
It could have been that they brought him there hoping that maybe some of the herbs or something could heal him, but then they realize, okay, that won't work, basically. Like, that could have been what they tried to do after they realized they couldn't use a positronic brain, basically, to heal him. So, that is unfortunate that they did have a son, but he's dead. There's another sad thing we can add to this. So they had a son, but he died, and it was specifically because of this synth ban, which is interesting. I'm sure that adds some sort of, well, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to say like a bias or something against Soji, because it's like, well, she has what could have cured your son, but this is obviously way too late. But
yeah, because again, she's technically only about 3 years old.
Yes.
And he died apparently long before that.
Yeah, that's true. Because they said that, like, last week would have been his 18th birthday. So,
and they never explained how old Kestra was. But she didn't look to be more than, 12, 13 maybe.
Yeah, so and she remembers her brother, so it couldn't have been maybe 5 years ago or so when he died. So yeah, let's see.
Again, maybe we'll get more of that in a future episode.
Maybe if Riker and Troi come back at some point, which it's possible, or who knows? Maybe they'll get their own show. Let's see.
Be like on HGTV, gardening on Nepenthe.
Yeah,
with Will and Deanna.
Yeah, there's just a whole episode about making pizza and everything. Let's see. We did have Soji coming to terms with the fact that she is an android. And that was interesting. Not only just, her coming to terms with that and what does that mean. Her whole life is kind of a lie now. And also just the degree to which she trusts none of them is very realistic. And yes. I do like that. Especially after everything with Narek and then going right into... Here's Picard, here's his, first officer and his old counselor, and their daughter, and it's like, and trust him, and it's like, no, she cannot do that right now.
But interesting thing, though, the fact that Kestra tells her, oh, so you're an android then, in her brain, that's like, learning a truth, no matter how horrible it is, but it does explain everything. It's just, that's one of those things that goes, oh, okay, now I understand. Doesn't help anything, but it explains everything. So there is some kind of understanding finally that she hasn't been able to figure out, and now she begins to understand, all right, this is why it all happened. Struggling with the betrayal that Narek not only betrayed her, but then tried to kill her. But now that she understands she's an android, she can go, okay, well, now I at least understand that. I'm still hurt by it, but at least now I understand why he did that.
Right. And... Well, and also, like, it also presents a new set of questions, because they say it's like, okay, well, do you have mucus and saliva and all that? And she's like, yeah, and then it's like, oh, I wonder why Data would do that, and she stops and she's like, yeah, why would they create an android with all these, like, human qualities that you don't need, So that, while it answers a lot of the questions that were, brought up in horrible circumstances last episode, it now brings up new questions, which honestly have been the questions we've had for the whole show. Why were these two androids created, and why are they so human-like?
Well, that was pretty much Data's mission the entire time. The old Pinocchio story. He wants to become a real live boy. He wants to become a human. And again, one of those things, he, may understand justice, but not necessarily mercy. So he is trying to create the daughters, or an entire race, if you will, of these synthetic people, who basically will be more human than they are android. Right. They'll, essentially they're creating the super soldier from Captain America, or however you want to do that. Right. People who will become the guardians of the human race because they are humans, but with enhanced powers.
That's true. I will also say when they were first, like, walking with Kestra and being like, oh, so who's her father? And it's like, well, you remember Commander Data. And she's like, oh, so you're an android. It's like, Picard, that is the worst possible way you could have relayed this information to Soji. It's like, this girl is traumatized. It's been 5 minutes since you left the Borg cube. Like, just sit down with her and explain this. So, so I will say maybe Picard didn't handle that quite properly. Yeah. Of course, he was kind of doubting, like, if he was doing this the right way in general. You know, with everything, it's like, well, I had a plan, and I left Earth with a crew, and now I don't have my crew. It's half a plan. One of the sisters is dead. I've saved the other one, but for how long? It's like, he's really like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going. It's not as easy as it used to be in Starfleet.
One of my favorite lines from the original Indiana Jones is, what's your plan? And he goes, I don't know. I'm making this stuff up as I go along.
Yeah. So, and it's also interesting, like, well, I don't know. That's not the right question, but it's like, how much can other people help him with this? Because at the moment, like, he has said before, it's like, no, I don't want to involve any of the old crew. I can't, risk their lives again like this, which, we said in that episode. It's like, well, this is something that Picard would say. It's just that the crew is not here to tell him, no, we are going to do this for you, But it's still the same here. It's like, yes, in a last desperate attempt to get off of the Borg cube, he went to Riker and Troi, but he still didn't want them to get involved. He wasn't even going to tell them most of the stuff. They had to infer that she was an android. Yeah. Which I also like that Riker picked up on Soji's head tilt. Because when she did that, I was like, that is the first sign that I've seen from her and Dodge that they are related to Data. Because that is Data's classic head tilt. So, which I guess kind of shows that now that she knows she's an android, maybe it's starting to become a bit more inherent in how she, goes about her life. Let's see. I wrote down Ardani, the Homeworld. We got a lot of Homeworld talk in this, which was pretty interesting. Because, with them saying Thad was born and raised on starships. It's like, that is interesting. He wouldn't really have a homeworld. It's like, you would think about it like, okay, well, his parents have two different homeworlds, so which homeworld does he have? Would he have Earth or would he have Beta Z? It's not really a question of does he have one of those, it's does he have either of those? Because his home was a starship. Yeah. So that was interesting, whereas Kestra seems to have Nepenthe more as a home. Yeah. Although they also said that Nepenthe became his homeworld once they moved there. And I like everything with talking about, Soji's homeworld and what that homeworld is even going to be like when they get there. And I also like the fact that he created 11 languages, 12 if you count the one for the butterflies. It's like, that is really creative. I could not create just 12 languages, but...
Well, I talk about, in my Oklahoma history classes, talk about Sequoia, who literally did something that no person had ever done before. It's a single person who created a language for his people. And, he tried several different ways of doing it first. None of them seemed to work. And then it simply struck him that up until 1830, whatever it was, 1831, 1832, no one had ever written down the Cherokee language, so it was a completely oral language. And that's where he started. He said, all right, so I just need to listen to the oral language of the people, and I need to figure out how many different sounds there are in the Cherokee language. For example, in the English language, we have 42 sounds, even though we only have 26 letters. But he heard 85 distinct sounds. And so he came up with a specific character or syllable in what he called a syllabary, so that he could say, rather than try to spell words one letter at a time, we're going to use just the syllables. There are 85 syllables in the Cherokee language, and how you combine those syllables is how we speak. And all we need to do is memorize the 85 syllables in their written form. And again, people could pick that up within just a matter of hours and days sometimes. He was literally put on trial for witchcraft at one point because the Cherokee people couldn't understand how he could communicate with somebody who didn't hear him actually speak. And he said, it's not witchcraft. It's simply, I have made a mark for this sound, and you tell me what to say, or you tell me what to write, I'll write it down. I'll send it, to another room. I'll have my daughter who understands the markings, and she'll be able to translate it. And when they saw that, they went, okay, it's not witchcraft. And then he literally gave it to the jury and said, guys, start looking at it. I'll teach you what each one of these. And within, again, just a matter of days, everybody at the trial went, all right, this is easy. We can all figure this out, and just went from there. So, obviously, that is this kind of a genius. He's the kind of guy that says, I need to create some form of written version of, and they didn't say whether he wrote, that he created written languages for other species or other civilizations or anything, or whether he just created brand new languages.
Yeah. I mean, it might not even be like particular civilizations, because one of them, is just for the butterflies, so it could have just been for anything around Nepenthe.
But, again, although we have seen differently in Star Trek The Voyage Home, we know that whales communicate. The fact that they went back in the past and brought the whales to communicate with the probe. At some point, in the future, is somebody going to figure out how to, phonetically write down, even though the whales themselves cannot write because they don't have, opposable thumbs, but somebody may be able to write down an actual language for dolphins and whales and chimpanzees, or even butterflies. For all we know, all species speak to each other. We just don't understand how they do it.
Yeah,
but that would be cool.
Yeah. So it was interesting learning. I mean, just learning about sort of this past that Riker and Troi have had since Next Gen.
Interesting. He never talked about his command of the Titan.
Yeah, it was just after they left, basically.
Yeah.
So, and then I will say, during the scene where at the end where Kestra was drawing the picture of Soji and they were just talking, I was thinking in my head, it's like, wait, how is she blonde if Riker and Troi aren't? And then you said it in the next scene. I was like, all right, we were both thinking that, so I'm not crazy. Like, yeah, that did seem odd that she would be blonde, but yeah.
Now, that being said, and I'm going to reveal to the people watching something about you.
Oh boy.
When Alex was very young, his hair was so blonde that it was almost white.
It's true, actually.
We have pictures of him up till about 5-6 years old where he's literally, he's platinum blonde type hair. Now, my wife has light brown to blonde hair, but it was very sudden then when Alex's, went from this very, very blonde to kind of a darker blonde, then went to brown, and then now to, as you can see, it's much lighter than my hair. My hair is, I think mine is dark brown. Everybody else in the family thinks mine is black, but
your hair's black. Just face it, your hair's black and it's got the little gray in there. It's like Riker's. So
yeah. So anyway, yes, it may be that Kestra simply hasn't changed to her parents' hair color the way you and your brother have.
I suppose that's true. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I don't know. I think we covered everything. So.
Sounds good to me. So we got 2 more.
Three more.
3 more left.
We got 3 more episodes.
Looking forward to it.
All of which, at this point, all 10 episodes are now up. It's just that we're behind still. So, but we're catching up slowly but surely. We are catching. Yeah, we'll get there, and hopefully y'all will be there when we get there. So,
okay.
I don't know. I just said things. So,
very profound.
Yes.
Very deep.
And with that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of our Star Trek Picard reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.